There are many reasons why I said I left the left. And one of them was when I worked in the NHS. And there was a bolt coming off the door. So I grabbed a screwdriver and I screwed the bolt back into the door. And this guy, who was ex-miner, came past me and he said, "You've just done a guy out of a job." I said, "What?" He says, "Yeah, you've done a guy out of a job." I said, "Well, how? That's ridiculous." He says, "That's a man's job. You've just taken that job away. How would you like it if somebody came along and he was a fitter and he suddenly started doing nursing?" And I said, "Well, yeah, but at the end of the day, it's hanging off the door and it's going to take forever to get somebody to come out." He said, "Doesn't matter." And this is the left. This is what they do. Instead of thinking, "Oh, that was a good idea, yeah, you could still report it if you really wanted to," but no, they don't like you doing those things. I lost more jobs when I was a lefty working in factories through the unions than they ever gave me the jobs, because they kept saying I was overqualified, which I was. I mean, I was a toolmaker and I was just labouring, but I was doing things that they weren't really happy about, and saying, "Oh, it's a skilled man's job, you want a skilled man's wage." And I'm going, "I just need a bloody wage. I've got a kid, I need to make some money." Yeah, and I do get it. However, in the NHS, I once did this breakdown of how inefficient it was, and it was due to things like the labour laws. And it took 35 people to change a light bulb. That was how many people to change a light bulb. That was the joke at the time, and I broke it down. It was 35 people to change a light bulb in the NHS. And I was trying to think of what that was. When Labour got in, I was thinking, "Oh, we're going to go back to that again." And I actually couldn't remember how many it was. But it went something along the lines of, you had to put a requisition in. So that was then prioritised by somebody to see if the requisition was actually important or not. And then, so that was somebody else. And then the head of the place would then assign that to somebody to come out and take a look at the job. They'd come out and have a look at the job and go, "Okay, this is what it's going to cost. Price of the light bulb, price of somebody to actually do the job." I know it's ridiculous, but this is what they would do. Then they would go back and then somebody else would price up that job, or they would already have the list of prices if they were really ahead of the game and go, "Oh yeah, we know it costs this amount of money." Then it still went back and somebody had to prioritise the jobs. So then they would prioritise that job. I think I've even missed off the bit where when you put your requisition in, it had to go down to the place, to the central clearing place, by a porter, then it had to be redistributed and go at the place. I mean, I've missed off all those bits as well. This is why I was 35. And so eventually they would send the guy out, he would do the job. Believe it or not, you couldn't really use the light. It had to be approved. So he would do the job, and he would then go back and say, "I've done the job." Then the approval guy, whoever it was, had to come out and say, "Yeah, okay, that job's done properly." And he would go back and report it. And then he had paperwork that he had to put in as well to be submitted, and it was up to with costings and everything. It was 35 people just to change a light bulb. And this is what I fear with the Labour Party. I've already said previously they'll make paper clipping counting jobs, which what we mean by that is it's a pointless job, but just to employ somebody. And I used to think that was a good idea when I was younger, because you think, "Oh, people are in jobs. It's always good if you've got a job. It makes you feel better. You've got a wage coming, but somebody has to pay for that because it's in the NHS. So somebody actually has to pay for that. It's a pointless job." So when you've got all of these people just in, we call them civil servants, if it's a pointless job, it's not producing anything. If you're in a factory, you're actually producing things. Arguably, I suppose software companies produce things as well, but you're actually manufacturing something. It's called added value. You go in at the beginning of the day, you do something, there's an added value to that, and that goes out, and you can clearly see where the profits are. There are none in these daft jobs. And this is what Labour will do. They'll just employ a lot of people to do all these silly things again, and it'll just cost us a fortune. And this is when I say Labour's bad. Because if it was your business, you would prioritise everything and you would make it very efficient. when you don't actually have to make it efficient, that's when you end up with really bad things happening. And that's what's going to happen under Labour. We're going to go back to that. We're going to be very inefficient. And ultimately, it's going to cost all of us a lot of money.